Good morning. Welcome to all of you to the Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar this morning. We're really looking forward to some great content. I hope you're all buckled in with your cup of coffee and ready to go. We have some great people speaking this morning and presentation for you that you're expecting on LinkedIn with 𝙈𝙗𝙠𝙚. And I'm going to introduce Gina Gilbert here in a little bit as well. But I just want to say welcome and give you just a brief glimpse. Stay after the presentation with Brian. I'm going to do a full overview of everything we have available through Crossroads. Minnesota Crossroads Career Network is a faith-based job transition training and support group, and we have a number of ways that you can get help with your job search, with classes and networking and these webinars and one-on-one coaching and much more. And I'll explain all that at the end for you. I want you to take advantage of everything you can. It's all free and here for your benefit. And so, as I said, I'll explain that at the end, so stick around. But, part of our hope with Crossroads is that along with helping people succeed in their job search with practical help, we also talk about bigger issues and point people to the hope and encouragement of Jesus Christ. In that light, we want to take a look to see what the Bible actually says about life. For just about all of us, a job search is an emotional roller coaster and can be a punch in the gut when it comes to our self-confidence. We may not say it out loud to anyone else, but it's natural when a new job doesn't pop up quickly to start wondering about our worth in the marketplace, whether we really have the skills needed or experience or not, or whether we can really compete with others for the jobs we want. We doubt whether we really measure up. These doubts can come across in our networking and interviews and make things much more difficult at times. Similarly, many people think their life has to measure up to a certain standard in order to be in a right relationship with God. Deep down, we all know our lives are far from perfect. We've all done things and said things we regret and know it's not how we're supposed to live. Always working to be better and not knowing how good is good enough can really shake your confidence in far as where you stand with God. The good news is that being in a relationship with God is not about getting your life right first. What the Bible actually says is if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. It doesn't say that you have to live a good enough of a life in order to be saved. It says we need to put our trust in who Christ is and what he did for us, then you'll be saved. God does want us to live a better life and to work at becoming more holy. And when we put our trust in him, day by day, he changes our desires so that we become more like him. When we know that our relationship with with God is secure because we trust him and him alone for our future, then we can have more confidence about who we are in every area of our life, including a job search. My hope is that by gaining the right perspective of a relationship with God, it can help your job search as well. Let me open up in a prayer and then I'll introduce our next speaker. Lord, we're just grateful to be able to come together this morning, even if it is just virtually, and be able to talk about you, but I pray that everybody walk away today with a new sense of hope and encouragement and some practical help to be able to land their next job more quickly. Father, we just pray that this time honors you, that everyone can get a sense of your presence, and that this time is productive. In Jesus' name, amen. So with that, I really am glad to be able to introduce Gina Gilbert. Gina has actually been a product of Crossroads to a degree in terms of having taken part in it when she was in her own job transition, and then has served as a volunteer for us for the last several years as well. And she just recently made another job transition and is going to talk about that a little bit as well, and also about why she serves with Crossroads. But I'm just really grateful for her for the way she serves others, and glad to turn it over to you, Gina.
Oh, thank you, Harry. Good morning, everybody. My name again is Gina Gilbert, and as Harry just mentioned, I just started a new job, so I'm getting used to my new job and title. My new title is Talent Acquisition Partner for a small local med device company called 𝙬𝙚 𝙠𝙚. So I just shared with Harry that I'm a month in and I'm still kind of drinking from the fire hose and learning that new job. But I'm here this morning to share with you my job transition story from a few years ago. And that started in the fall of 2016. Prior to that, I never really had any problems finding a job, never really put a lot of thought into it. My early career was actually in sales training, mostly in the newspaper and digital advertising space. I was always in the advertising department, actually not HR, and that will become more relevant later in my story. But my original job locally with the St. Paul Pioneer Press was a sales trainer and a field coach. And about a year and a half in, they asked me to split my time recruiting for the department. And I had never recruited before at that time, but it was similar enough to sales that I was able to teach myself over time. And I ended up really, really loving it. Working in the newspaper industry at that time was very interesting. They were and still are fighting for existence, transitioning from what was historically a print medium to a digital medium. Digital advertising is much less expensive than print advertising. So, despite successes in selling digital advertising, revenue was still declining. So, I was basically in an industry in decline. And so, over the 10 years I was there, I watched multiple layoffs and downsizing. So, when my turn came, I wasn't really surprised to be laid off, but to be honest, the day it happened, I was surprised. And as I mentioned, it was about a month after my 10-year anniversary. So, like many, as Harry mentioned, I was devastated at first. And my job was a huge part of my identity. My coworkers had become very close friends who weathered many storms with me. And at that time, I had been working for over 20 years, and I had never really stopped and thought about what was I doing what I really wanted to do, but more importantly, was I doing what God wanted me to do? While I was unhappy, obviously, to be laid off, now over time, I really it became appreciative to me that God interrupted my life and routine, and I was forced to examine my life. At first, I really wasn't quite sure what to do with myself, my first week of job transition. I had always been so busy working full time. I had a husband who traveled internationally at that time and two active daughters. And now I had all this time on my hands. So I knew I needed help. I knew I needed guidance. And I actually attend Grace Church and heard that there was a job transition ministry. So I started going to the networking meetings and joined a small group. I also attended a few of the other job transition groups that are here in the Twin Cities. But despite my background in sales training, I had never really had to sell myself. So I really had to put a lot of effort into learning to network. I knew I needed to do it. I knew I needed to treat job search like a full-time job. But most importantly, I needed to trust God to open and close doors, though that was really not easy for me. As a Christian, I love that Crossroads is faith-based. But as Harry mentioned earlier, it's also very, very practical. It gave you real useful things to apply like right away. And while there were many great things, I think the focus on networking was the most useful for me. I was very nervous about networking when I started, so I decided to start with some close friends who I knew would let me practice on them. Then I started reaching out to former colleagues and friends and was soon networking on a regular basis. I made the decision to literally meet with anybody who was willing to meet with me at that time and let God open or close doors along the way. A former coworker introduced me to one person who introduced me to another person that led me to my first contract job. And during job transition, I had decided to expand my HR knowledge and study for what's called a SHRM CP. And I mentioned this to the person I was talking to, and this person actually owned a small consulting firm and said they needed help with some basic HR projects. Next thing I knew, I had a 12-week contract as an HR coordinator. And this was how I was able to put my first true HR role on my resume. After that, I completed my exam, and then I started networking again. And soon was contacted by a friend of Harry's, actually, who knew of a company that needed a recruiter ASAP. So I ended up doing an 18-week contract recruiting for a small manufacturing company. After my second contract, I reached out to a contact from my networking in the past who was an HR executive. And I was wanting to get some advice from this person about a 3-hour interview I was about to have. While we had lunch, she mentioned she was interested in hiring me. And this is how I ended up with my job at Midwest Dental as a talent acquisition manager. And while I did apply for several jobs over the 16 months I was in job transition, all the jobs I was actually offered and accepted were due to my networking. Now, 3 years into my time with Midwest Dental, they were purchased by a larger dental support organization called Smile Brands. And over the months after this acquisition, I realized that Smile Brands was no longer, wasn't the good fit for me. So I started looking for something new last November. And this time around actually was pretty easy. Talent acquisition professionals are in high demand right now in the current market. So when I applied for my jobs, I was, actually getting to talk to people. But I ended up accepting my current position with 𝙬𝙗𝙗. I'm really, really happy with my new role. It's much less stressful than my previous role, and it's also very interesting. Med device is completely new to me, so I'm very much enjoying learning that. So it's easy for me to look back now and see God's handiwork along my journey. It was much harder to see it while I was in the middle of it. For me, the key was doing my part while trusting God to do his part. My part was to do all the work, to network, do the research, create my star stories, and so on. My part was also to simply trust God and who he is. God's part was opening or closing the doors along the way. And finally, to be honest, job transition was a really hard time for me as well, but it caused me to seek Jesus in a more meaningful way. I learned that putting my identity in my job gave me a false sense of security, and then realizing my identity in Christ was much more secure. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Gina.
Thank you.
You and I talked a lot during especially your first job transition and then this one as well. And I can certainly attest to you look to your faith to help guide you and put your identity there. But ultimately, it took the networking to get there as well. And
absolutely.
I think too many people rely too much on the job boards, and that doesn't help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And so that's a good transition because to improve your networking, LinkedIn can be an incredibly good tool. And I'm really glad to have Brian Horvath join us. One advantage of doing these webinars versus meeting in person is that we can have people join us from other parts of the country as well. And Brian is from Tampa, Florida, and is able to join us by Zoom much easier than if he had to travel up here for an in-person meeting, which wouldn't happen. So really grateful for that. Brian and I have known each other for a few years. Brian actually used to be the executive director for the National Crossroads organization and has since become independent in terms of providing all kinds of training and coaching and help for people in a lot of different ways. And I've enjoyed watching how he's flourished in terms of impacting a lot of lives around the country. And so really glad to have him here. He's not boring. He's got energy, and I'm really grateful for that too. But the topic is really terrific in terms of how to make the right kind of connections on LinkedIn. And I think that's really the key that a lot of people struggle with. And so, Brian, thanks so much for being here today. And I'm going to turn it over to you for the next hour.
Hey, Harry, thanks so much. And hi, everybody.
Hey, I just wanted to add in real quick before we forget, but I did put a link into the chat box for all of you to download some worksheets that Brian has for you. And then also, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to add that in the chat box as well. Thanks. And
awesome. Thank you for that, my friend. That's good. So thanks, Harry, for having me. Thanks, Minnesota Crossroads, for being excellent to work with and partner with, and really learned a lot from. Harry, the speakers you've had on board as well, really encouraging, inspiring, educational, all that good stuff. So kind of like the trifecta, if you will, of opportunities to be involved in a ministry such as this. And it's kind of cool because, as you mentioned, Harry, I'm in Tampa, but today I'm in Asheville, North Carolina on spring break with my family. So if you see our little feet here, or hear some folks in the background, then that's my family. But hey, nonetheless, this is where life is today, and we're gonna really help you take advantage of life on LinkedIn. That's the whole point of today. And so just glad to be here and glad to be partnering, Harry, with all of you guys here at Minnesota Crossroads. So let's jump in. That's what we're going to talk about. Harry is right. We're right on the money. We're how to make the right connections on LinkedIn. That's what we're here to do. And I get the opportunity to help you with career-changing strategies that I think will really move the ball forward, move the ball down the court, and so on and so forth. And I believe every LinkedIn user should know these. Some of these things that are like, wow, I never heard that before. Some of these things are like, yeah, I've heard that before and I'm doing it. And then there's that in between that, yeah, I've heard that before. Why am I not doing that yet? All in all, we'll catch every side and be able to help you grow your influence on LinkedIn, on the platform. And what I like to say from a Christ-centered perspective is helping people share their story and showcase their value. Share their story and showcase their value to the marketplace. And we all have a story. You just heard Gina's story, and Harry has a story. I have a story. We all have one. And so I think LinkedIn's a great place to shine on, and to share your story and showcase your value. We'll talk about that as well throughout the presentation. So here's a couple funny little things, right? Some of us have done this. Some of you may be doing this, but just thought as we get going and getting people logged in and logged on, some morning laughs. Here's a guy that thought that, from the air, he had a little resume air raid here and said someone important is bound to read his resume now. Maybe you're trying to do that with even LinkedIn as well. If you just click connect, someone's bound to connect with me. Someone's bound to interact with me and help me take the right steps in my career. Here's another one. So I looked at your LinkedIn page and, oh man, there's no way you're getting the job, right? LinkedIn's obviously meant to be a tool to help us get work that we're looking for, to be, like I said earlier, share your story, showcase your value. It's not supposed to do the opposite, but I just added in LinkedIn to there. This is supposed to be, I think, like Facebook, this original cartoon, but I added LinkedIn for today's purposes. And then finally, this is really interesting, right? We've all had those experiences on LinkedIn where we're like, okay, that was awkward, when someone's trying to connect with you and you're like, who are you? Why are you trying to connect with me? And what the heck are you talking about? So this is, the social media, opportunity we have, but also the social media disaster it can be if we're not learning how to use LinkedIn correctly. And so I don't think that's any of you guys per se, but we're going to help you leverage LinkedIn and lean into LinkedIn even a little bit more today. That's me on the left. That's my wife Becky in the middle there. My little girl Ella, who's 4, and my son Grayson, who is 7. And being in Tampa, you see he's got his Tom Brady shirt on, and we're thankful that Tom Brady's coming back to bring us another Super Bowl trophy potentially. But that was at my little girl's Christmas tea party, and you can see there my wife's giftings with interior design and decorating and event planning and design and stuff like that. So that was a nice picture from this past Christmas. That's my little family, and we live in Tampa. A little bit about me, as Harry alluded to, I'm a speaker, consultant, and coach. My main goal is to encourage, to inspire, to affirm, and to challenge all of us. And of course, as I do that, I feel the same effects of these messages that I get to bring to you and to others around the country. There's my wife and I. Right before we had our first child, we had the opportunity to be on the Dave Ramsey show, actually a couple times. This was one time here, a little success story in our finances when we paid off our home. We got to be on the show in Nashville with Dave. So just real cool stuff about my background. Here's a little bit more about me. Had the opportunity, as Harry mentioned, to be the executive director of Crossroads Career, and worked with the founder of the ministry and creator of the You Are a Creator for Workbook, and had a chance to partner with Brian Ray to help him revitalize that, re-engineer it, bring it up to a little bit more colorful standard. And that was a blast. I never thought I'd be able to do that kind of stuff ever in my career because of where I was headed so many years ago. Like Gina said, chasing some of the wrong things, thinking that my career and my finances were my purpose. And to share some of that story, I wrote a book called Your Purpose, How to Know It, Live It, and Love It. And that's there as well. And of course, I teach about career purpose. And so that's ultimately what we're going to talk about today with LinkedIn, is being a tool that it is to help you know, live, and love the purpose for your career and your finances, right? Because those those are tied together, right? Our career and our finances. And so we want to be able to help you know, live, and love the purpose for your career and finance. I thought my purpose was my career, was my finances. If I could just climb the corporate ladder, if I could make it to that C-suite level, if I could, potentially earn enough money to do whatever I wanted when I wanted, right? Those kinds of things. But I realized when I hit the wall that that was not it. God had a bigger purpose for me, and he wanted me to realize and then share with others that career and finances, those aren't our purpose, but those are tools to help us accomplish our overall life purpose. So that's where I'm coming from today. That's the foundation, that's the platform. And I'm really encouraged to jump in with you. So let's do this. You ready? If you want to put things in the chat box, I'll gladly get to them at the end of today's presentation as I rip roaring through this, how to make the right connections on LinkedIn. And like I said, your career changing strategy that every LinkedIn user should know. And I'm one of those believers, as Harry just said, not just staying on job boards, not just staying on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is a hefty tool to utilize in your arsenal to make sure you're making the right connections, that you're communicating well, and then collaborating, taking next steps with those people that you should be taking next steps with, and those people with you. So Harry mentioned, did you download the webinar workbook? If you hadn't yet, there's the URL on the screen. He also put it in the chat box, brianhorvath.com/LinkedIn workbook. And if you want to take a second and grab that, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and just have you get that. And again, I think there's, Harry does a great job of archiving these, putting these on replay. So whether you're watching the replay or not, that will still be available to you. Or if you want to replay, instead of watching it for the first time, this worksheet will benefit you there as well. Okay, so how do we work this webinar? How do we work this webinar? We're going to go over this is kind of like our little roadmap for the next so many minutes. We're going to go through the two main purposes for LinkedIn. And let me say one more thing. As you go through the workbook, if you're like me and like to fill in all those blanks, the answers will be in blue, bold, and underlined in my presentation here. And then, of course, if you miss anything or I miss something, please let me know in the chat, and we're glad to get that to you. So how are we going to work this webinar? There are two main purposes for LinkedIn. We'll talk about those. We'll reveal to you that career-changing strategy I keep speaking of. We'll talk to you about not just knowing it, but actually how to put it to use, how to apply it, right? Because knowledge unapplied is like not having the knowledge at all. We want to get knowledge and understanding and application, and then give you some next steps to take, as well as I think when it's all done, some of the little tricks of the trade, hacks that I'll share with you will really give you an unfair advantage on LinkedIn. Some secret, again, they shouldn't be secret. I don't want them to be secret. That's why I do these things. But some little quarter turns, some little enhancements that I think will really make your profile even better no matter where you're starting from, giving you an unfair advantage. So here's the first main purpose of LinkedIn. The first main purpose, you're probably already doing this. Well, you are already doing this. If you have a profile, if you've connected with anybody on your own, if you applied for a job, if you posted any content or a comment, a video, whatever the case may be, you're already navigating this part of thing. But too many folks focus just on this purpose as being the sole purpose for LinkedIn. LinkedIn's two main purposes. Number one is you taking a proactive approach, and that's the right in there. You connect with people and opportunities. That's you taking a proactive approach, right? It's kind of like a tennis match. If you're the server, you got the ball in your hand, you got the racket, you got opponent on the other side of the net. If you don't hit that ball, there is no game to be played, right? So this is you taking a proactive approach. That's LinkedIn's two main purposes, LinkedIn purpose number one. But number two is the other side of the thing, that really when you have the best profile possible, when you are strategically, having keywords in the right places, when you're part of the right groups or you're communicating the right message and your network is expanded in the right areas and so on and so forth, then because of the work you did in number one on that proactive side, you hit that ball over the net and it's traveling out of your hands over the net to the other side. And purpose is that people and opportunities get to connect with you. So that person's got to hit the ball back across the net, right? Now you have a game. Now you have a volley, a back and forth kind of volley. That's LinkedIn's second main purpose that is oh so missed. We think it's all about us, and if it's to be, it's up to me. And we just don't, we think we got to spend all the time on LinkedIn all day. If you do what I'm going to share with you today, if you apply what you're going to learn today and make it not just knowledge, but understanding and application, then people and opportunities are going to connect with you inbound. Meaning while you're sleeping, people are going to connect with you. You don't have to worry about being on the platform while you're on vacation. People are going to connect with you because you set your profile up in such a way and put it in front of the right audiences. You're connecting, you're communicating, and you're collaborating. You have that kind of mindset, that attitude, that folks are going to come into you. You don't have to do all the things you used to have to do when you first got the profile, where you had to build it. You had to connect with everyone. You had to make all the things happen. If something was going to happen on LinkedIn, it was up to you. Well, as you work your profile, as you apply what I share with you today, you'll continue to have more people coming inbound to you so that you can leverage more often than not LinkedIn's second main purpose. So got it? Good. Tell me in the chat box that you got it. Type in purposes or two main purposes in the chat box and just interact with this and let me know you're understanding and you're getting it and all that good stuff. Because that really is important. We're setting the foundation here for you today. Okay, so what I want to show you is the fact that you have an opportunity with LinkedIn to have a career-changing strategy. I hope your LinkedIn profile, you're happy with it. But I think if you start applying this in it and within it and through it, LinkedIn, then this is really going to change the game for you. Now, why do I have a picture of that little mushroom, that little toad guy from Super Mario Brothers on there? Some of you may know where I'm coming from. It's because we want to tell a little bit of story between Mario as the plumber when he was in the game Donkey Kong, that little guy that had to go rescue the princess and climb up all those staircases and ladders and all that stuff. And we want to help you go from little Mario, plumber Mario, to Super Mario. And if you remember in some of the games past of Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, then Mario would have to run around the screen, right? That two-dimensional screen, and grab hold of these mushrooms so he can really make the game work for him. So he could really change the game so he could win the game. And he ate that little mushroom or jumped on that little mushroom, and all of a sudden he went from, little Mario to, that's kind of like, it was like the old cheesy sound effects, for him to become Super Mario. And at one point in one of the games, I think he could even fly, he could throw fireballs and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what I want to help you do. I want you to change from what you've been doing on LinkedIn in a basic LinkedIn kind of way, and I want you to go to super LinkedIn, to career-changing LinkedIn by applying what I'm going to share with you. So if I had a drum roll, it almost like, this is what it would be like. The drum roll, please. Harry, if you got the drums, roll it. The seek to serve philosophy is the game-changing strategy. No matter where you're at in your faith, you can see that seeking to serve is the utmost way to win clients, to win over employers, to make a difference in your office or in your sales territory, whatever kind of work you do. When you seek to serve others, that's the premise that will change your career. This is the game-changing philosophy for your career. And you can apply that to LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you how. The career-changing strategy right there, there's the little blue highlights and underline, seek to serve. That's what you want to write in that blank there. But that's the Super Nintendo kind of way. So we went from basic Nintendo with Mario the Plumber to Super Mario Brothers and Super Nintendo, and that will really superfy, it's a new word for me, that will really enhance not only your career, but your LinkedIn profile for sure. So let's jump into that. You say, got it. Okay, get that, Brian. That might already be me. But let me just say one other thing too, since we're talking about Christ-centered principles to help you maximize your purpose to really leverage LinkedIn in your career, is that the word says the Son of Man, Jesus, did not come to be served, but to serve. And that's where I'm coming from here with that. This is seeking to serve LinkedIn in a Christ-centered way. But how and with what do I serve? Well, if you downloaded the worksheet, and even if you didn't, go ahead and grab a piece of paper and just draw a line down the middle of that sheet of paper, whether it's vertical, horizontal, no matter, you pick. And I want you to write on the top of this, somewhere in the corner, write this career-changing equation. B plus M times S. B plus M times S. There on your paper, you have a little fill in the blank too with B plus M times S. What does that mean? Well, let's tell you. B is the letter for what do I do best? What do you do best? I want you to take a moment here and brainstorm with your cup of coffee there in front of you or what have you, and brainstorm a couple things about what you do best. So take a moment and do that now. Awesome. So awesome. Brainstorm, what do I do best? So if I had to sit with you across the table as I do in my career coaching on Zoom or in person or whatever, I would say, Joe, Lisa, Harry, Gina, Brian, what do you do best? And usually people stop at like 3 or 4. They feel like they run out of ideas. But I'd like you to, after this webinar is over, continue on this journey of brainstorming what do I do best. And this doesn't mean you have to do it in one sitting. You can come back to this over time. Maybe it's something you leave up for a week or 2 weeks. And as you go through your day, as you go through your week, as you interact, whether at work or in a job search, write down what do I do best. Okay. And I'd love to have you guys share with that in the chat box. What do you do best? Go ahead and put some things in there. I'd love to hear from you about what you do best. Okay, so use your chat box, use your worksheet. What do you do best, guys? What do you best? Put it in the chat box. Let me know what you do best. This is huge. I think if you keep this around, like I said, for a week or so, just keep filling this up like a brainstorm. It doesn't have to be in one sitting, although that's a great place to start. But I think if you keep this going for days of what comes up with for you, what God puts into your heart, into your mind, and what you hear others say even about you during the week. So here's some examples here. As you can see, what do I do best? There's some examples that over the years that I've been presenting this kind of content, this is what people have shared. What do I do best? Problem solving, building teams, maybe steady hands, depending on their industry they're in, computer design, right? Drafting, mechanics. You can see that some of the more technical skills, some of those STEM skills, right? Science and technology, engineering, mathematics, things like that. And then we have some others, robotics, maintenance, auto repair, copywriting. Maybe you're flexible, maybe you're social. Are you a leader? How are you at conflict resolution? What about supply chain? How about accounting? Maybe strategy, different kind of things you can think about. What do I do best? And a great place to source some of these is from your current LinkedIn profile, also your resume, what others say about you, maybe past job performance reviews, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of different sources that I teach about how to get these opportunities to share with others what you do best. Now, the next part is I want to take what do I do best, and this is the M part of the equation. Who needs it the most? Who needs the most? Who needs it the most? So take a moment and brainstorm. Who do you think needs it the most? Who do you think needs the most what you do best? Okay, terrific. So who needs most what you do best? That's kind of what we're talking about here. And, again, drop in the chat box, drop in your worksheet, of course, who needs most what you do best? And here's some examples. Really overarching is for-profit, nonprofit, small business, large business, entrepreneurs, schools and universities. Those are some like 30,000 foot view opportunities there you might think of. Where can I apply what I do best and share it with those who need it the most? Those would lie in those opportunities from a 30,000 foot view. Then we get a little bit more detailed. Is it a faith-based organization? Would it be virtual or in person? Would it be medical, domestic, international? Would I be a contractor? Would it be a W? All those kinds of things. Those are different opportunities for you to serve with what you do best, those who need it the most. There we go. There's a side by side. What do you do best? Who needs it the most? And you can see how those can sync up in many areas. Maybe some of these opportunities are new for you. You haven't thought about these before, or you haven't thought about how these could be applied before. Those great strengths and skills that you have of what you do best. Ultimately, the foundation is undergirding all this is having a seek to serve heart, a seek to serve heart, a seek to serve philosophy, the career changing philosophy, keeping in mind it's not about you, it's about others. And the good news is when you help others get what they want, you get what you want. And I think that was Zig Ziglar that said that. That stuck with me for a long time. And that's hard, right? There's a battle there between us and taking that step of seeking to serve. We're thinking about ourselves all the time. We do that as people. But here's a great framework to think about. What do I do best? Who needs it the most? And I really believe when you start putting these together and targeting companies, targeting employers, targeting clients and whatnot that way, then you're really going to know, live, and love the purpose for your career. And that's when it starts getting really, really exciting. Here's a little summary. Knowing what you do best and sharing it with those seeking to serve. Knowing what you do best and sharing it with those who need it the most. That's seeking to serve. Take a screenshot of that. Have that on maybe your wallpaper for your phone or your desktop, and just keep this in mind that as you even go through your job search, no matter if you're unemployed, unfulfilled, maybe you're misemployed, you're just thinking about what's next, keep this in mind as you go about your day, as you go about your targeting of companies or employers, or maybe serving entrepreneurs, or wherever the case may be. That will help you set your mind right, and as your mind and heart are right, so will your steps be right. All right, so are you ready to share your light with others? Right? Are you ready? I am, and I'm getting to do that even right here. So excited to be able to do that. Now, if you need any of these slides, here, I'd be glad to make these available for you guys to be able to see afterwards. Okay, so if anybody would like to see these, we can share a PDF or whatnot of these things. Just keep that in mind as we go as well. So how do we apply the career changing strategy? And I share this brush stroke or this paintbrush because you can see there's multiple colors on there. And we're not all coming from the same background. We're not all going to the same destination. We're not all made the same. We are made in God's image, but we're all uniquely, fearfully, wonderfully made. And we have an opportunity to take that great gifting that God has given us and apply that career changing strategy in our unique kind of ways. So now here's where we really try to take the foundation that we set up and start applying it, our career changing strategy, to LinkedIn. And we're going to do that with 7 steps. And these 7 steps for you on the worksheet is fill in the blanks. I'm going to give you a couple little overviews, but I'm going to go through each step one by one. The first step we want to talk about is knowing your keywords. You got to know your keywords. And keywords are words that significantly communicate and connect well on LinkedIn, ultimately helping people to collaborate with you. Know your keywords is that first number 1 that you want to write down. All right, number 2 is maximize your profile. Number 3 is create your own group. Don't worry about writing all these down now. I'm giving you the framework of where we're going to go. We'll go over these one by one. Build your own network. We're going to talk about backing up contacts, how to convert, how to collaborate, how to take next steps with folks you've connected with, and then how to set you up with that seek to serve philosophy, career changing strategy we talked about. So number 1 is right there, know your keywords. Go ahead and write that down. Knowing your keywords is huge. And why keywords are huge? Because they're going to help you think like the searcher. I want to help you reverse engineer how you're found on LinkedIn. By helping people connect with you on LinkedIn, the way they're doing that is through keyword search. And as you can see on the screen, or as you see on LinkedIn every day, as soon as you log in, you'll see a bubble that says search. You start to go type in keywords there, whether it's people or jobs or companies or just keywords, keyword phrases of things you'd like to do. Think about this. What do you do best? Who needs it the most? Start typing those kinds of keywords in the search box. That's going to really help you reverse engineer how recruiters, headhunters, hiring managers, and people of influence that you want to connect with out there on LinkedIn are going to search for people like you. Sure, LinkedIn brings about recommendations that you should connect with, but if you want to get really targeted, if you want to get really on fire for taking the right next steps, you want to have your profile written in such a way with keywords that allows you to take advantage of how searchers are looking for you. And remember, there's 2 main purposes we talked about. We talked about 2 main purposes. Number 1 is you connect with people and opportunities. And number 2 is people and opportunities connect with you. Well, this is that number 2 purpose, and that's searchers searching for you. So you want to think like a searcher. So up the top of the box, here's an example that I typed in that said supply chain leader manufacturing. What I did was I typed in the kind of work that someone may do. I put in the kind of person or personal attribute they have in their character, a leader. And then I put what kind of industry or what type of work do they do as well. It's in the manufacturing field. So this is a good 4-word keyword phrase that a recruiter or a searcher may type in the chat box to find people like you, if those are the kind of keywords that are in your profile. And if you could see it there, and if not, no big deal. But they also, the searchers will also type in all filters. So they may look for geographic locations. They may look for companies that someone has previously worked for. They may look for colleges that these folks have gone to and whatnot. And they start really dial in, really drill down in the filters, the keywords, and then other search functions, search criterion that will really help them target who they want to target. And you, my friend, need to be doing this as well for your searches, for those people that you want to connect with, whether they're recruiters, hiring managers, headhunters, your circle of influence, or a lot of folks called COI, or just the right connections in companies that you want to go work for, that maybe you want to create a all side front of whether you want to connect with the CEO of the company, and then also maybe the VPs, or maybe folks that are working in maybe manager roles or leader roles. You want to connect with as many people you can in that target company so that people know your name. They know your story. They know what value you showcase in the marketplace. Thinking like a searcher allows you to do that, and keywords allows us to do that. You got to have the right keywords in the right places and whatnot. So you want to think like a searcher because you want to be on the searcher's short list. What do I mean by that? Well, you want to be on page 1. Nobody is on page 3 of Google getting orders for pizza, right? So if you're out on vacation like we are here in our family, and we're looking for a pizza shop, we go to Google, right? What's the local pizzeria around? And you see a couple Google ads, and then you see a couple links that the search found for you based on where you're at and what kind of keywords you use in the search. The same thing goes here. I'm going to buy a pizza from page 1. I'm not going to buy a pizza from page 3. Same thing here. You want to be on the searcher's page 1. You want to be on their short list, because recruiters don't click on everybody on page 3 and page 4. They're looking at page 1, maybe page 2. And Harry can attest to that, I'm sure. Why? You want to be on the searcher's short list so they can connect with you right away. And we're going to show you how they can do that in a little bit. So to think like a searcher, you got to remember that searchers are using 2 sets of keywords: primary keywords and secondary keywords. And you want to write this down in your worksheet there as well. Knowing your keywords means you got to know your primary keywords and your secondary keywords. Now, shifting gears quickly. Again, we only have 60 minutes today. I'm going to help you maximize your profile. This is number 2. Knowing your keywords, now taking those keywords and using them to maximize your profile. And keywords have scoring, right? So I'm kind of a make-believe scoring chart, but keywords have different weights, different values, different levers that would get pulled, right, based on keywords being in the right places. So the right keywords in the right places looks like this. You can see this point structure there. The most important looks like is your keywords in your previous job title, in your current job title. That's where your keywords for what you do best, that's where you want to have those keywords. You better have them in your current job title. You need to have them in your previous job titles as it makes sense. And a little trick here, a little extra benefit here, a little bonus is you don't need to have your job title from that company as your title for that role. You can have keywords being as your title as opposed to your actual job title you were given at that role. If you really want to put that job title in your role, go ahead and jump in the job description box. That's my recommendation to you, because that role may not make sense to anybody that's searching for you, because that company may not have the same language for roles as the next company you go for, or maybe you're looking to bump up your level that you're at the next company you're going to go work for. So keep in mind that your current job title and your previous job title should have keywords, those keywords that what you do best, those primary keywords are in those places. And that's the highest value you're going to get for keywords within LinkedIn. Now, this is a made up chart, but this just shows the value and the weight of these keywords throughout your profile. And here's your top point placements. This is not from order of weight, but from head to toe of your LinkedIn profile. So just showing you a different way. Your headline, your about section, your current title, your past title, your skills, and your recommendations. Those are great places for keywords. And you can see there just a little summary image of those places within my current LinkedIn profile. Now, one of the great opportunities is for us to take our, is to take our headline and refine it. There are too many headlines that I see, guys, that are just what you currently do at whatever current company you do it at, or whatever company you did it for in the past, or you've got way too many keywords in there, or you got way too little. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to give you the sweet spot and give you the framework for you to be able to refine your headline, to get more views, to have people take more action on your profile. Because that's what a headline is, right? A headline is meant to grab attention, to have people, inspire people to look further down your profile. And if they're not doing that, then you may have a headline problem. And of course, a cover profile photo, as well as an image behind you as well, all fits at top of that headline kind of section of LinkedIn. All important. They tie into your personal brand and shares with people what you do best, so that those who need it the most can take next steps with you. So here's that little summary there. Refining your headline is taking your keyword title phrase and an expertise statement. Now, I want your keyword title to be 4 words, 4 words. In this case, here's an example. We have a sales manager. Well, that's great. What if he said sales manager, leadership, and then specifically in the automotive industry? So if he just said sales leader, and he just said manager, and then said automotive, or excuse me, sales manager, and just said automotive, well, that might negate the fact that he's a leader. He's a leader of people. He's a leader of teams. He leads, processes, procedures, not just manages those things. It's fine to be a manager, responsible for P&L or profit and loss or whatever, but how about being a leader? How about being more specific about what industry you've done it in or what industries you want to do it in next? So those are kind of ways that if I were to sit with you one-on-one, we'd spend a lot of time on knowing what you do best, sharing it with those who need it the most. And this output here would be a result of the best out of both of those questions I asked you earlier. So your keyword title, 4 words, folks, 4 words. Let me show that better. 4 words, and putting it up top of your headline, but then adding an expertise statement that really elevates and really focuses on and drills down to share with you. So in this case, this person was an expert in foreign luxury sports cars, not just luxury, right? Not just domestic or international, or excuse me, domestic, but foreign, and specifically sports cars. Foreign luxury sports cars is this sales manager, leadership, automotive expertise statement. So there you go. There's a headline. I'm now a sales manager and also am a leader in the automotive industry, but my expertise is in foreign luxury sports cars. So no, that doesn't include Ford Mustangs. That includes, Maseratis or whatever. Okay. So that's the difference maker there. That's really dialing in where this person may want to go work and how they're seeking to serve those industries. So here's where that would fit. Here's John Smith. He's got his profile photo. He's got his background photo, and he's got his keyword phrase and his expertise statement and his refining of his headline. So that's the example I'm talking about. Here's mine. I'm a speaker, consultant, coach, and LinkedIn trainer, helping people to know, live, and love the purpose for their career and finances. And I'm open to new or networking opportunities. And so that's a little additional thing I add into mine as well, is that open to networking opportunities. Now, what is really important here is you understand, as you continue to optimize, maximize, make better your LinkedIn profile, is that you pull this thing called the LinkedIn lever. That you understand, if you could pull that lever, then you get these LinkedIn gears really working for you. These are the 3 LinkedIn gears that are behind the scenes, making the algorithm tick, making people see people they should connect with, getting out those search results that should be for those searchers, with the keywords they need to find, all that kind of stuff. So this LinkedIn lever is 3 gears. The first gear is keywords. We've talked about that already. Having the best keywords and having a 4 keyword phrase that you're going to use throughout your whole profile, especially in your headline. The next is your network. Having a network that's deep and wide, both in your industry, both in your area of where you live, but also beyond that. So network's huge. And then something I'm going to share with you in a little bit called relevancy. And this is where I want to give you that extra unique competitive advantage here with something that nobody is doing. Most people do not do, using this phrase I'm going to give you to put in your about section called relevancy. So these 3 gears work together when you pull the LinkedIn lever, so you can maximize and optimize, so you can share your story, you can showcase your value to your current audience and new audiences, because you're taking advantage of those 2 main purposes we talked about earlier. So there we go. There's Doc Brown saying, ready? Let's put this to work. Let's get it. Let's put into this thing. So what is the LinkedIn lever? The LinkedIn lever is allowing your keywords to be in the right places. Okay, we talked a little bit about that specifically with those point placements. It's allowing your network to be build up bigger and wider than it is today. I really want to see you over 500 plus connections, and that takes time, because over the years, LinkedIn's kind of dialed back how quickly we can connect with people as the platform has grown. And by the way, LinkedIn used to be, when I first started coaching, it was 135 million people back in 2013 on the platform. Today, over 800 million people. Pretty amazing. So the LinkedIn lever goes into the about section, and it provides you relevant words and verbiage that would be in the profile of people that you want searching for you. We are extracting keywords that are going to be in some headhunters, hiring managers, owners of businesses, C-suite, vice presidents, HR personnel, whatever the case may be. We want to take words that they would have in their profile that you had no business having to create relevancy by putting them in our profile. Let me show you. These words are the titles of people that you would want looking for you on LinkedIn and connecting with you on LinkedIn. And why? Again, so that your profile is at the top of the stack. What I'm about to show you with this LinkedIn lever, keywords, network, and relevancy, will give you a 20 to 30% bump up, hopefully from page 2 to page 1, or even bumped up higher on page 1, so that the right folks can collaborate with you or take action on the profile that they're seeing in front of them when they find you. So there you go. The LinkedIn lever relevancy quote, and I'm going to share with you in a second, goes in the about. It helps you with relevant words and verbiage that would be in the profile of the kind of people that you would want searching for you on LinkedIn and finding you on LinkedIn so that you can be at the top of the search results. That's what we're getting after here. That's the whole point. All right. You ready? So let's give it to you here. I want you to go to my profile and find out what I'm talking about here. So if I went to my profile now, you'd see in the about section, and I'll go and type mine in the chat. I'll go ahead and type mine in the chat where you can find my profile, and I'd love for you to connect with me. That's where you're going to find that verbiage. And you're going to see there where I talk about connecting with people so we can expand our network on LinkedIn, so they can get in touch with people in my industry and whatnot. You'll see it. It will stand out to you on my profile. So LinkedIn, www.linkedin.com/in/𝙤𝙗_Horvath is where you need to go. And Harry, if you could put that, actually I'll do it. I forgot. I have access to that everyone button. I just dropped it in there. So linkedin.com/in/𝙤𝙗_Horvath is where you'll find it. You go right down to my about section, copy and paste it, people, and make it your own. If you don't want to connect with the kind of people that I have in mind, change the titles of those people. That's what you need to do. All right, let's talk about creating your own group. We'll go through this one pretty quickly. But creating your own group is important because your current job title is the most important. Hi, baby. Here's my little girl, Ella. Good morning, babe. She's 4. She's my little helper. She's done some of my LinkedIn live videos that I do every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. It's cute to have her on. But your current job title is the most important, okay? Again, we talked about the point value here. Your current job title is 40 points. 40 times more the importance of that little keyword in the body of your profile that's under your job title or your description of the job that you did. That's how important. They're all important, but you can see how exponentially more important the current job title is. There he is. The current job title is the most important. And you can see there where I've used my keywords as opposed to that I'm the CEO or president or founder of my company. That's nice for me, but ultimately I want those keywords to shine. I want people to see that those keywords can help them solve problems that I'm seeking to serve. That's where I want to leverage those keywords. If I want to put president and CEO of my company, I'll put it down in the job description as one of those places, and they can see that my official title is right there. Excuse me. So I want you to keep that in mind. Remember, so how you do that is you want to create your own group. If you don't have a current job title, you want to create your own group. And creating your own group on LinkedIn is not about you creating your own group for the necessary point of trying to gather people together in your group that you have to lead and create another job for you. It's about creating your own group that you can call yourself the leader and the founder of this group, and you put those keywords in there. If you want more help on that, excuse me, go ahead and look at my profile as well. You can see where I have a group in there where I use keywords in my current job title, and I make it my current job. I also put in that I'm a leader of a group so that people see that I'm actively networking, I'm actively building relationships, I'm staying on top of industry trends, and I'm communicating with the marketplace. I'm staying hot, I'm staying relevant in my search, in my industry. So creating a group will help you call it what it is and place that title of that group into what the company name would be. And you call your title of that group as the founder, and then you use those keywords that we talked about earlier, similar keywords that would be in your headline. Okay, so that's fast. Again, we don't have 2 hours. This is normally like a multiple hour workshop here. I want to help you become a super connector. A super connector is someone that's recognized for having a lot of. You want to connect with super connectors because they'll expand your reach rapidly, quickly on LinkedIn. And super connectors networks span deep and wide beyond their own industry into other industries, into other fields of work, into other geographical locations. You want to connect with super connectors. So where I'm looking at first is I'm looking at people in my network in my second level or my third level that have 500 plus connections. I want to start connecting with those folks because they can exponentially help me grow my network. And remember, network is part of the LinkedIn lever to help you get most, help you be found for what you do best by those who need it the most. To help you connect with super connectors, you got to look at this chart. You can see the importance of super connectors. A lot of times people just want to keep their connections really basic, really simple, really top level. I would encourage you to go deep and wide beyond who you know and challenge yourself to connect with people outside of your industry so you can really connect with people that you would never connect with if you hadn't connected with that super connector. It's not so much about what they do, it's about who they know. And we've all heard that before. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So I want you to keep that in mind. So connecting with super connectors looks like this. On average, this has gone up a little bit over the years and it's a little bit harder to pin down, but on average, people have 77 connections as their first level connections on average on LinkedIn, which means not everyone's probably using it as rapidly or strongly as you and I may be, or as you want to use it. But that's the brass tacks there. In that role, in their second level, if they have 77 first level connections, in their second level, their network expands to about 8,400. 3 degrees away, which is the third level connection, you can see their network is about 250,000 people. That's great, right? But look at the difference if you have connected with people with 500 plus connections. So not your everyday 77 person, but connecting with super connectors. Those folks have, 500 plus connections, right? At minimum, right? Look at the network expanding if you are connected with super connectors. Not only do you go from 8,400 people that have your profile, right? Because the most people that are going to see your profile are the ones in your network already. That's who LinkedIn is going to share it with the most, and those people are already in your network. And the way to get more people to see your profile is to expand your network. Look at the third degree away people. 47.5 million people would be connected with you, or at least be in your sphere of level 1 connection, level 2, and level 3. When you connect with super connectors, which is why it's a part of the LinkedIn lever, keywords, network, and then relevancy we've talked about, you really will start seeing that second main purpose of LinkedIn ramping up for you. Yes, you're investing the time, you're investing your work, but you're going to see the second level or second purpose of people really leaning in and connecting with you. Searchers finding you for what you do best. Those who need most, who are looking for you to solve their problems because it's what you do best. That's when LinkedIn really starts humming. That's when you start making the right connections on LinkedIn. So number 5, we're going to do a lot of work on LinkedIn. Once you start getting more expansive of a network, your network's going to expand, and you don't want to lose opportunity to have those people saved out to a CSV file in a spreadsheet. And you've built your network. You've taken a lot of time. You've taken a lot of energy and resources. Both you've reached out yourself proactively, then people have reached out to you reactively. I want to share with you a quick step to help you back up your contacts. So I would encourage you to do this once a quarter. As you're really growing and building your network, I would encourage you to do this once a quarter so you don't miss out on your network. Now, why would you want to back this up? Well, there are great opportunities for you to communicate with people more one-on-one, because when you back up your network, if they chose to share their email address publicly, you'll have access to their email. Now, I wouldn't suggest you sending them spam notes or messages. That's not the purpose of that. But it does give you a little opportunity to say, hey, I was on LinkedIn, saw that you shared your personal email address. I'd love to reach out to you via email and be able to talk to you about how I can solve problems that you're experiencing in your company or what have you. Whatever makes sense for you to communicate as you network. Or you just want to introduce yourself in another way beyond LinkedIn. Many ways to go about that we don't have time to go into now. But the first thing you're going to want to do is click on your connections up top, right? Or click on your network. And sometimes those words change with LinkedIn as they update their nomenclature. But you get the point here. Then on the right, you're going to click on Manage Synced and Imported Contacts. And sometimes these little boxes really blend in. They don't stand out for LinkedIn. So that's why I highlighted it for you. So number 1, you're going to click on your connection, then click on Connections. Then you're going to see a list of connections down the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you're going to see where you can manage these synced and imported connections. There, you're going to click on Export Contacts. Then you're going to click on Getting a copy of your data, and then just select connections only, okay? Connections only. Now you can back up your entire profile. And I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, that's a good thing. But in this case, once a quarter, just backing up your connections for sure. And that's so if LinkedIn were to ever crash, your profile, God forbid, gets hacked, which I never had happen. I've been on it 8-9 years, almost 10 now. I've not seen that many happen for many of my clients, although it can happen. Or LinkedIn can change what they do or how they do. You have your contacts backed up to your computer. That's the point I'm trying to share with you. Your network is important, and you want to be able to upload that back into another platform maybe one day, or you want to upload it back into LinkedIn if something were to have to reset or you had to start all over. That's the power of backing up your contacts, or that's the why. You'll get an email saying, hey, your CSV is ready. And basically when you open up a CSV, it's going to either open up in Excel or Numbers or Google Sheets or whatever the case, whatever program you use. But then you can manipulate that data as well. You can sort it, you can filter it, whatever you like to do, and really get an in-depth look at your network on a spreadsheet. So it's better to help you to target or maybe group certain people you want to connect with out of the gate for your job search. So really powerful there. So there's a little look there at what it looks like for you. So all kinds of reasons why to back up your contacts, but I will encourage you to do that. Number 6 is conversion optimization. So many clients I work with have a great profile. They're doing a bunch of cool things on it. It reads well, it's interactive, that kind of thing, but they don't put conversion optimization as a part of the strategy. And that's really a shame, because conversion is critical, right? You got to get first down after first down after first down, and eventually you cross that goal line to score points, kick the extra point, and you got 7 points on the board. If you don't convert first downs, if you don't get over the goal line, then all that work you did on the field could be potentially just a failed drive. Excuse me. Little allergies up here in the mountains. So you want to convert. You want to take all that work you put into LinkedIn and you want to make it work for you. And here's how to do that. Well, based on the things we share with keywords, with your network expanding, with that relevancy piece that you got from my LinkedIn profile. Again, just copy and paste that, change the words of folks that you want to connect with, or change how you see fit. Excuse me. That gives you exposure. That gets you eyeballs in front of people. That may even get you connections opportunities. But what you want to have in your profile is language that allows you to then be hired or to take next steps for collaboration, because conversion is critical. There is no sense of being on LinkedIn if you're not giving people the opportunity to take next steps with you. So what you need, my friends, is a CTA, or call to action, baby, right? That's what you need. A call to action, baby. You need to look like cool like this guy. Like, yeah, I got it going on. Of course, he might be calling somebody as well. He could be that cool recruiter like Harry is, out in his yard, working from home, kind of whatever. So all that to say is you need a call to action. You need to allow people to have the opportunity to like what they see. They see what you do best. They need what you do best the most, but how are you giving people the opportunity to take next steps with you? Don't make them LinkedIn mail you or InMail you. Don't make them hunt and peck for your email address or your phone number. Put it right in your profile. Put it right in your about section. And you'll see, again, if you go to my profile, you'll see what I'm talking about. But call to action is CTA, is a little verbiage that allows you to encourage them to take next steps with you. You could be as basic and as minimal as saying, if you want to collaborate on any of these things I'm working on or have worked on in the past, then connect with me at this phone number, or this email me, or this email address, text or call me, whatever the case may be. Or you can be really focused and targeted, especially if you're unemployed or you don't care about your job search being public. Then you want to put on there, if you're experiencing this problem in your organization, I help you solve it by this, that, and the other. You want to call me today, put your phone number, whatever is comfortable for you, but something that piques interest, that scratches their itch, that fans the flame on their pain point, that brings them to the place of taking next steps with you. They see that you're credible. They see that you have character. They see the work you've done in the past in your profile. They see the right keywords, all that stuff. How do you help them take next steps? Make your phone number, at worst case scenario, email address available for you many times throughout your profile, so you make it easier for those folks to take next steps. So that's the first 6. Know your keywords, maximize your profile, create your own group, build your network, back up your contacts, convert or collaboration optimization, and seek to serve setup. And as we wind down here, let's go to number 7. I want you to be a super connector. I want you to be a super connector. I want you to be known as a super connector. And once you're a super connector, which means you have 500 plus connections, maybe you can put the word lion in your profile, which means LinkedIn open networker. that you're seeking to serve by adding value to people, by sharing your network, giving people opportunities to connect with those. I don't mean you have to introduce everybody, but you're allowing people to see who you're connected with. You're allowing people to see your network. A way to do, you're allowed to receive invitations to connect by being a lion. All that kind of stuff allows you to share opportunities or what you do best with those who need it the most, and you don't have to spend as much time networking. To be very selective can make sense in a lot of ways, but I would encourage you to be an open networker. So each day people will be connecting with you. All right, super connectors display their email address. Their profile shows that all invitations are welcome. And of course, super connectors, and you will eventually, if you don't have it already, you have 500 plus connections. Here's that verbiage that you want to place in the about section. Connect with me using, there's my email address, and then you put some of the words I just shared with you. And I never IDK is I don't know. And then lion, LinkedIn open networker. Matter of fact, little side tip, if you want to go connect really quickly with a bunch of folks today, then go search in the chat, in the search box for Lions, Lion. And you'll come up with a couple companies with Lion in it, but a lot of times you'll see Lion, open networker, connect with those people. They're ready to connect with you. So congrats, guys. We covered all 7 steps. There's the 7 right there. Now what? Your next steps. Well, we talked about your career changing strategy, right? Seeking to serve people who need most with what you do best. We talked about keywords, keyword scorecard. We talked about you're refining your headline. We talked about the LinkedIn lever, right? We talked about having your keywords in the right places, having the right keywords in the right places to gain the right connections to build your network, to then have that relevancy piece to get you that bump up in search results. Then we have your expanding of your network. We talked about how to do that. We talked about how to back up your contacts. We also talked about how to create a group if you're currently unemployed and you want to take advantage of those current job or points on LinkedIn. We talked about that. And then of course we talked about having CTAs and conversion optimization. So I have a little offer for you. You could take this further steps, more stuff I talked about at speed, I know, but you can go ahead and onto my website. And thank you, Harry, for allowing me to share this. Go to brianhorvath.com/LinkedIn-quick-start. I have a free 1-page guide that will take you through these 7 steps in a little bit more in-depth way or overview to help you really get moving on these ASAP. That's what I want to help you do, to take action today, my friends. And again, they don't have to be like mega tweaks. They could be tweaks over time. They don't have to be all today, all right? But over time. And this checklist, this quick start guide will help you do just that. Harry, so let's open it up for Q&A.
Sounds good, Brian. That was terrific, by the way. Had somebody earlier ask, do you recommend that they pay for LinkedIn Premium?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a couple things. One is you can trial LinkedIn Premium. So if you're ready on your job search and you put all these things into work that we talked about today, I would say go for the trial and you'll see the difference. I mean, what I love about the trial is being able to see different profile views, folks who viewed my profile, because it's kind of like the curiosity thing. You could see people's actual profile who looked at your profile this week. And if you're in the search or you're building business, you can connect back with them and really take steps. Sometimes those people that looked at your profile didn't connect with you. Well, here's a prime opportunity to know who they are and not have it be hidden if you have a basic account. And I had a basic account for years doing this, but I decided to upgrade to premium because that was one of my favorite searches or favorite bells and whistles of it. You also get the opportunity to get extra in-mail credits. I think it's 15 per month. So you can bypass somebody's, kind of, if you're not connected with them, you can get right into their inbox with in-mail credits. Of course, I'd use those wisely and strategically after you really targeted the right employer. Don't waste those, especially during your trial period. So there's just a couple things. And of course, afterwards, I think it's like $33 a month with tax and all that kind of stuff. Or I think it's really worth it. The cool thing is you can cancel it at any time. So it's no harm, no foul if after the trial you decide to cancel.
Great. Somebody asks about if you're in transition and don't have a current job title, how would you recommend representing that on your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, and again, there's a couple ways to do it. I see a lot of folks over the time, man, maybe they put consultant and that's all they put for their current job title. So they look like they're doing something. And I'm not saying they're not, and that's fine. First of all, if you were going to do that, that's great. I mean, I have it in mind, but I'm going to add to it based on this 4-word keyword phrase that I talked about. And so that's one way to do it, because if you're truly doing consulting and working with companies and in a period of time, a gap, then you want to put that there. Another way to work around that is leading a group, or quote unquote creating a group, and creating a group with it, making the company name being the group name. And I would call it like leaders in, let's call it medical devices, so on and so forth, whatever the case may be. I think I heard Gina say that earlier, so it was in my head. And then you'd have your title be founder. So founder of the group, put a little pipe. A little pipe is that little bar right under your delete key or your backspace key, depending on what kind of computer you're using. And then put your 4-word keyword phrase, and you want to tie all that in together. The name of the group and then your keyword phrase, tying that all in together. You can see how I've done that on my profile as well. And you know what? LinkedIn just introduced, and I haven't played with it a ton yet. As a matter of fact, I've seen some people have it and some people don't. They have another way you can add in if you're taking a break, right? Or you're in career transition. There's a place that you could put, maybe took a gap year or a gap time off. You can add that into your profile. Maybe, someone stayed at home and homeschooled. My wife did that. She left her corporate job, COVID came, she homeschooled for a year. Well, that takes a lot of skills, right? So she could put that in and then explain what she did there. And that's another more selling point, more keywords to help her solve problems for others that may need those kind of solutions. So there's multiple ways to do it, but those are a couple of quick ways to do it today.
You've referred a couple of times to creating a group, and someone asked if you could clarify and expand on what you mean by that. Yeah,
I truncated that part because if I go into all the details of how to do it, which I would love to do for you, but time's sake, it's basically go into the top right-hand corner of LinkedIn. It says like other, I think, let me make sure I'm not lying to you on that. Because again, LinkedIn, which I like because I'm a technology guy, but LinkedIn changes a lot of verbiage sometimes. And you'll appear one day and like, oh, never seen that button before. What is that? Let me go ahead and click that. But up the top right-hand corner, I think there's like other or some little button there that you can log in or click that and then go and create a group from there. And then creating that group, it walks you through it. Just use your keyword phrase in the right places to be able to, I can't get to it just now and I'm getting distracted. So, but that's the place to go look for that group as well. And it also reminds me, I probably should do a little training on that, do a little video, put it on my YouTube channel as well. Maybe I'll do that and you guys can go get it there as well. But take a look at how I did it on my profile, and you'll see exactly once you walk through the step-by-step process LinkedIn guides you through, you'll see what I'm talking about.
There aren't any other questions yet, but let's give people another moment here. If
Sure.
you have any questions or comments, be sure to add them into the chat box and we can address them.
Again, I know it's fast and furious, so if you want to email me too, excuse me, you can email me at brian@brianhorvath.com or connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Don't waste those emails though on me. Thanks, Terry.
Well, thank you, Brian. That was definitely informative and helpful. I jotted some notes down myself, and I think you nailed it on a number of fronts. As a recruiter, I live on LinkedIn, and what Brian is talking about on this is absolutely right. Is you want to get found, and I think a lot of times people think that if you just create a profile and don't put much on it or just have it out there that somebody will find you, but it doesn't work that way. You're one of 800 million profiles on LinkedIn right now. And so nobody is randomly browsing through profiles. It's always based on a search. And so you need to maximize that in order to get found in that process. So thanks so much, Brian. Really appreciate it. It's an hour later on the East Coast for you than it is for us here. So it's not quite as early, but still you were able to join us and add a lot of value. I really appreciate that. You are God's masterpiece, as you put in there. I really agree with that. And understanding that gives you more confidence in every other area of your life too.
Absolutely.
So with that, I want to transition over and just share with you other ways you can benefit from Crossroads. I'm really hopeful that you take advantage of more than just our webinars and are able to get more ongoing and in-depth help as you go through this process. It's, I think one of the challenges for an awful lot of people in their job search is that they aren't sure they're doing the right things, and we want to be able to help with that. And so let me share some slides here, and we'll walk through quickly other ways you can get plugged in. So as you registered for our webinar this morning, you were asked to include your street or mailing address. And that was in order for us to be able to send you a copy of this book. You'll get this as a free gift in the mail. If you haven't gotten one already, if you've been on one of our previous webinars, you should have received this already. And but we will be sending this out. It's a tremendous daily devotional on helping you deal with that emotional roller coaster. And it really addresses different aspects of the job search extremely well. And if you are have some specific questions or challenges you're facing, there's a great index in the back. Dale Kreinkamp, who actually spoke on one of our webinars a few weeks ago, you can find that on our YouTube channel. I'll explain that in a minute. But you can look him up on there and hear him talk about some of the ideas in this book. But I really encourage you to take advantage of this. This will be coming on its way here in the next few days, and I hope it benefits you. You probably, in order to sign up for this webinar, you probably already did see our website, but I really encourage you to explore that a little bit further if you haven't already. There's all the details of everything I'm going to talk about now in terms of what's available for you, along with detailed information and times and ability to sign up. And we also have a job board on there that is somewhat unique. It's not as robust as Indeed.com, but we have a number of companies in the area that know what we do and know that great people come to Crossroads and want to be able to access some of that. And so they post jobs on our job board, but we ask that they also include a contact name and a way to reach them if you have any questions or want to follow up, which gives you a little greater sense of hope than just applying on the black hole of blind ads. I'd like to say that all of the employers that post on our job board include that contact information. They don't all do it, but many of them do. And so check out what's on there. We have a wide variety of jobs that get posted, and hopefully you can find some ideas there. And, you know, I would always look at job boards creatively, not just at the job that they have posted right now, but you know, find some companies that may be of interest to you. And, you know, a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. That if they have one or two jobs open, they probably have others as well. And you can perhaps pursue that company a little bit further. When we meet in person, we actually have 3 locations around the Twin Cities area that we meet at, in Eden Prairie, Woodbury, and Arden Hills, so that when we do get back to meeting in person, hopefully in a few months here, that you can find the location closest to you and be able to see our seminars in person and take advantage of other resources we have at each of those locations. Everything will be posted on our website as that time comes, but our first, second, and third Thursday webinars that we have really represent the different, what we would offer at the different locations. On a weekly basis, there's multiple ways you can get plugged in. One of the best is our Networking with Grace networking group. They're meeting online right now as well, and you do need to register in advance. You can find the details on the website, but it's focused networking where you can trade leads and contacts and ideas with others, support others, and get some help as well. It's led by Wes Tang and Wes Roper jointly, and we call them West 1 and West 2. Those guys are terrific at making sure that everybody feels like they walked out with something each week. And that's every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. It'll follow this presentation here today, and you can get plugged in and get help on a weekly basis that way. We also have one-on-one coaching available. You can sign up through the form online and take advantage of that as often as you'd like. And somebody from our team will reach out to you and try to set up a time for either a Zoom meeting or a phone call. And you can talk about anything you want regarding your job search, whether it's to get help with your resume or to do some mock interview practice or talk through how to prepare well for an interview, just to talk through your situation or whatever else. Really encourage you to take advantage of that in order to be able to get some one-on-one time and more specific for your circumstances. We also have a job transition prayer support group team and soul care. I'm really grateful for a team of people we have that I consider prayer warriors that love to pray for you. And we have a prayer request page on our website that you can ask for a specific prayer on. But if you also feel like you need a little more one-on-one support from a spiritual basis and some moral support, we have a soul care, some people that will meet with you more regularly online, and you can set that up and see the details of that online as well. So take advantage of that if you feel like that would be worthwhile for you. Our most in-depth and ongoing help is through our small group classes, and we're doing those by Zoom meeting right now as well, but it's an 8-week class that covers every aspect of a successful job search. We start with getting in the right frame of mind and your attitude, and doing some assessments, and talk a lot about networking and how to target companies. We talk about resume best practices and how to make that as effective for you as possible, and interviewing and negotiating and selecting the right job, and much more. And as important as the content is, and I think extremely helpful for people to know and gain confidence in doing the right things for their job search, I think equally important is that weekly light accountability and encouragement and moral support to help you get through this. And throughout the 8 weeks, we also explore what's God's perspective of your job search in your life. And I think it's a great way to stay plugged in, get some new energy each week to be able to tackle that next week more effectively, and get some fresh ideas and strategies for your job search. We have new classes beginning each month. We actually have one starting tonight. Michael Hurley will be leading that. You can find the details on the website, register for that. You can still get plugged in. If you can't make it tonight, you can still join them next week. And then I'll shortly get posted another class that we're going to have starting next month sometime. And so keep your eyes on the website for that. Even if you've taken the class before, I encourage you to take it again if you're not plugged into anything right now. Again, I think it's just important to get the content, but also have that weekly encouragement and hope and support. So take advantage of those classes. They're very helpful in this process for you. Join our LinkedIn group. If you put in MN Crossroads Career Network in the search box at the top of LinkedIn, you'll find us. And it's a great way when you join to see updates on jobs that get posted, some great articles and support that are available there. But most important, we have well over 2,000 people in the group that all have been through Crossroads at some point, and are willing to stay in the group to be networking contacts at the companies that they're at right now. And so you can look through to find people at companies that you're pursuing and see if there's anybody there that's been through Crossroads that's willing to talk to you, to give you some advice, some perhaps a referral, or whatever else that might be helpful in the process. And it's I often get asked from people that have been through Crossroads and got benefit from it, how can they give back? And this is a great way. Stay in the group after you land and be available for others to be a contact for them as well. All of our webinars, as well as this one, will be posted later today on our YouTube channel. And if you put in the search box on YouTube, MN Crossroads Career Network, you'll find us, and you can review previous webinars and review this one. As I said, this will be posted before the end of the day today. And so the slides for this specifically won't be emailed out or anything like that, but you can review the webinar as often as you'd like on our YouTube channel. So take advantage of that, as well as previous webinars too. As an additional resource, Thrivent has been a great partner for Crossroads for many years now. They've provided funds for us to be able to do different things. They partnered with us for events we've done that we've held. And they also are now partnering with us that they offer 3 regular monthly webinars on how to think about your finances during job transition. There's 3 different ones. I think one on budgeting more effectively during your job transition, how to think about your retirement accounts, and others as well. And Skip Nelson hosts those. You can sign up on through the link on our website and take advantage of those. Those are not sales presentations. They're really just presentations to help you through this process. And I really am grateful to them for all that they pour into us as an organization. I just want to acknowledge that nothing that we do is because of 1 or 2 people. We actually have over 40 volunteers that help with Crossroads in one way or another. And I'm grateful for all of them that give of their time, their expertise, and their effort to be able to help people through this process. And we have many of them that are coaches that facilitate groups for us, that help with our workshops and do various other things. And if, as you see them, I pray and ask that you thank them as well, because they just do a great job and give a lot of time and energy to this. If you don't have a church home, I encourage you to check out the churches that we have in the Twin Cities here that align with Crossroads. Excuse me. They each are meeting in person and online right now. And you can find the details for service times and everything else on the respective websites. So with that, I hope it was a worthwhile presentation for you this morning, and that you got some good tips that you can put into practice for your own LinkedIn profile. I hope Gina was inspiring and helpful for you as you think through your own job search. Pray that you have every success, and if you would like to plug into further things with Crossroads, I encourage you to do that as well. Best wishes on your success, and look forward to seeing you on other events. Take care.